server wants to wake up. Come on up. There we are. Good boy. All right.
No, I've got an invalid password. We have password in the.
You have a new password, which should be the one that is in game information.
There's a new.
He
There's a new
edited
password.
it.
Explained. Purple haze.
He-
Oh man.
I always switch out my passwords when it's a new server.
Oh, just these times it's the character names.
Yes, I was debating should I do character names or should I do player names, but I was like, I just like you see the cursors going, and I just like it more when it's characters. Plus, we have someone that is streaming it, and I don't want to dox you guys.
Yep. No, I'm doing my best to also kind of not stream any kind of sensitive information here. So
Unfortunately, I just use Nabarlin for everything, so I'm just.
Well, at least it's not your real name, right? Like,
Yeah, no.
I did face this issue myself, by the way. Like, I've had a username for the longest time that whenever you looked up that username, that was tied to me. There was no one in the world using that username. So that kind of negates the whole idea of like, oh, I'm obscured behind the username. No, you're not.
Yeah, all my online stuff used to be Nabarlin, and then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I should probably change it. You know, I'm professional. I'm actually like meeting with politicians like that, so I gotta just have something a bit more presentable. So now it's all shifted to my like first name, last name. But for a while, Nabarlin was it's like, oh, my Instagram is Nabarlin and YouTube's Nabarlin.
Alrighty.
we capture audio as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because I believe everyone is logged in, right? Or am I still missing? So missing one person. Let's see, which character am I still missing? I believe that would be Elodie. Is it Elodie
Who's
or
Felix?
Elodie, by the way? You're muted. You're muted. Either that or you're very good at like, using your lips without talking.
Also,
We
I
just
don't
had
have
you.
my character out yet, so that will be done by session 1.
Which is no issue. I made you a token, which is just a big question mark for now. So you do have something to move around.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yep,
I can hear you.
now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, my mic
Hi.
was off for some reason. I don't know how the heck that happened. Yeah, this thing is loading. I just have a blank screen here.
It can take a second.
I had an idea. So to get the tokens off of you once you have presented them, so that I can put them on here as well. So eventually,
sure.
people watching can actually see who's talking when they're talking.
Absolutely, I can send them to you, and I'll resend the one from Felix when it's done, of course.
Yeah, it's no rush. I mean, I've already I haven't set anything up at all. So, well, I have now.
Contrary to what one might think about a dungeon master, I'm very organized. So I have a folder here with all of your tokens.
Lagasp.
Shocker. Here you are. Oh, you'll need one from me.
That would be great, but I could take anything from you.
No, I actually have one for myself because I was busy anyway. So here you
go. I was busy anyways. Wow.
Yeah, this is the token that I made for the Guild of Flask, but still, it's in the same style. So.
Oh, these are all so good though.
Oh, we have new freeze messages. Oh. Drakkenheim is no more.
Hold on, chat. You're not going to be able to see these. I don't want you to see these before I pop them on. God, they're beautiful.
Also, the pause icon is different. That used to be, I believe, a hand.
Why am he him? What's happening? It says he, him on mine. I'm not he, him. I'm a
That is
a
weird,
girl.
but I can change that for you. Hang on.
No, I think I think I can. It's giving me this first.
I think it
I'm
defaults to
I'm
he, him.
Nabarlin. It's a Pokemon.
Well, that
It's
is
Nabarlin.
sexist.
I know.
Should, if anything, it should default to they, them.
I'm not sure why it defaulted for His Majesty for me, but
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm like, what? Did you put that in there? You must have put
No,
that
that was
in
on
there.
default.
Tim.
I was wondering as
Tim.
well.
Really?
It did.
Tim.
I don't know because I kind of dig it.
You little
I honestly
goose.
thought that you put that in yourself. I was like, oh, there's a
Same.
You
story
must
behind
have put
this.
that in.
No,
I don't
it really
believe that
isn't.
he didn't. I think he's messing with us. Classic
That is
Tim
funny.
hijinks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh right, they changed the character sheet.
Yes, the character sheets are different as well. And there's a couple of new plugins, which I believe I did talk about in the previous server. Did I already use them already as well? The fighting carousel and the blood splatter. I don't think we used those, did we?
I
We
think
did- yeah,
we
you used
used
those.
the
we did,
yeah,
okay.
we
For, like,
used both of those on the last session.
Right. Okay.
Where is my character sheet? I never look at it in here. I
Well,
always just use the DnD.
I might as well bring you. I might as well bring you to the pièce de résistance if we're here anyways, just to have you guys like have a moment to look around, enjoy.
Wait, there's a map. Oh, map.
There's more than that.
Or is it? Is more?
Oh.
I'm so
Oh, that's
excited. Why does my
sick.
computer take forever?
Oh, dude.
That's so
I
pretty.
wish I could power my computer with like my own excited energy. Like that would make it go fast.
That would make anything go faster.
I'm so excited. Are you kidding?
That's what I'm saying.
I would. Yeah. So.
It's a good thing.
Never mind. I like this music. It feels very like weirdly.
Very
It feels
epic,
like Pirates of the Caribbean. It feels kind of
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean to me. I don't know why. I see we got some crystals for our loading screen here.
Mhm.
Ooh la la. Which, by the way, is the only thing that I'm seeing for the loading screen. You taunt me.
Did you make this like initial like book landing page?
Yes.
Dude, it looks it's so gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah,
Stop
and also
describing it.
the quotes that are in there. There's one quote by one Corey Flintz, and there's a quote by Petro. Those are the original players in the Gilded Flasks campaign.
Ooh.
I incorporated them as like
Oh,
original saga
okay.
heroes in the book.
Cute. Even though they're technically doing this at the same time that we are. So.
Yeah, they're only like 2 sessions ahead of you, so they're not.
They're
that
2
far.
sessions ahead. Darn them.
Which obviously, like spoilers about and whatnot. So I would really urge you not to watch the Gilded
Yeah,
Flask as much
it's
as
so
that hurts
sad.
me.
I was like, I never really was able to watch it before because my work always conflicted, and now I'm like, well, I can't watch it
Well,
because
you have
we're
a
doing the
full
same
50
thing.
episodes. You have a full 50 episodes of the Curse of Strahd that you can watch if you want.
Oh, that's
except
true.
for
That's
Tim.
true.
Well, see, the thing is,
Yeah.
like, because I was gonna watch Curse of Strahd. I mean, I can watch it now, but before I was like, I thought
Yeah,
we would
but
be
then I'm
going
like, what
into
if I
Curse of
want to
Strahd.
play?
So-
That's true.
Yeah, what if I want to play Curse
Yeah.
of Strahd at some point?
Then you
Then I
shouldn't
don't
watch it
want that
because
to
it's
be spoiled.
definitely spoiler heavy. Yeah.
My God, computer! Why do you hate me?
Is it still loading?
It's still loading. It's still loading.
Loading. Oh, I love it.
That was
Yeah, maybe going forward, is your
I
is
mocked
your
it with my character's name, so it knows. It's like you don't
is
get
your
to
setting
ever
set
see a map.
to is it set to potato? Like, I mean, that could. Oh, I mean,
Right, where is
because that's
that?
the settings on here.
Oh
Yeah, I
yes,
had to-
yes.
Yeah, no, but it should
It's,
be. I think this is mostly your internet. Are you like a wireless by any chance?
Yeah, I'm wireless.
That might
Internet.
impact
I
your
mean,
loading a little bit.
yeah, it's because it's not plugged into the internet. No, but it's a laptop because I am not a person who has a personal computer, unfortunately. That would be
It'll
my
get there.
brother who has that.
It'll get there.
But
We have all the time today, so just let it load.
Yes.
okay.
So-
Well, if you want to
so
start
we're-
talking about stuff, I'll just, you know,
I
pipe
can.
in when it finally loads. I'll probably gasp loudly. So
So I will. I'll say a couple of things about the journal, just like as a preface. The first page of the journal should also give you an area for personal notes. You're not obliged by any means to use this, but you can. The great thing about this is that whenever the server starts, you have your notes there. If you have an app that you just prefer to use to make your notes in, like I know Tim does, for example,
yeah,
feel
the
free to
app,
use that.
the classic
just
app of pen
writing.
and paper.
It's fine. Like use whatever you want. I just wanted to offer it through here as well.
No, you're good.
And any notes that you make in here, by the way, are obscured from all the other players. I can still see it because I'm the server owner, but everyone else cannot. So you can make any notes about the other players that you want without them seeing. On the next page, you'll see all of the tokens of the other players, save for Felix, who has a token but doesn't have a face yet.
He's the faceless one.
If you flip to the third page, there's a whole bunch of banners up there, 5 in total, and then there's like some other arranged items that are sort of like scrapbook style stuck into this booklet. So these banners are the banners of the 5 factions that are very heavily tied into to Drakkenheim. More on them later, but this is part of that 15 years ago and longer information that you know to a degree. So which is why this information is just there. This page will stay open. Well, this whole like journal and whatnot will stay open when we're playing, so you can always flip back to it at the top of your screen to just reread on this if you want to. Beyond that, next to the journal, we have a button for the city map. We will be extensively covering the city map in the game itself. But if you ever want to look something up, that is a place to do so. And underneath there's a button with links, which are just some links about my social media and whatnot, because there's always a harmony in having 3 buttons rather than 2, but I didn't really have a need for a third button. I still wanted to put one in, so I was like, oh, let's make it a link button.
Rule of thirds, right? Rule of thirds.
Yeah, like it just looks better than 2. Like 2 is in the menu, 3 is.
2 is just true or false question, right?
Yeah. All right. So do you guys want me to read a little bit about the Dungeons of... Oh, is it loaded?
Loaded. Oh my god, it's beautiful.
So pretty.
Oh,
All right, well, in
it's so
that case,
pretty.
you take your time also to have a look through the journal, because you
Yeah,
have
I'm
the
gonna
right to
look
do
at
that as well.
this. Journal, please don't take forever to load. As soon as I click on something else, it just takes forever to load again. Just keep talking. Oh no, there it is. Oh my god, this is beautiful.
Yeah, the journal shouldn't take too long, because that is like just an image, basically.
Do we know which player we are?
Oh, I still need to rename those. But like the one that
Yeah.
opens for you for now. It should be alphabetical, so I think you should be player 2.
Okay. Nope, not opening. Oh no, it does. It does open. Never mind. That's cool. I'm not going to use it.
Which is fine. Like it's just there if you need it.
Or at least not at the moment.
Also, for the
Where's
player
these
tokens themselves, if you
heroes?
click the token on the second page, it'll open up the player sheet, also of other players. You can just see them, except for all the bio information. So everything about your backstory and whatnot is
Right.
not shared here.
Just like D&D Beyond. It doesn't
Yes.
share all this stuff.
It basically does a copy of that. Yeah.
Oh, she's so cute. I love them. Beautiful babies. Yay. Is there another page or is that it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, the
That
little
is a
tabs
cool
underneath.
looking character sheet. I like that. It's much better than
It is,
whatever
right? Like
it was before.
yeah.
This is much
And one thing
easier to
about
get around.
it is, and one thing about the new character sheet that I really like. Well, first off, one thing that's very important on the right side of the character sheet, like beyond the bounds of the character sheet, are like a couple of black tabs. Just so you know, because it seems that a lot of people are missing them. Those are the ways to get to your inventory and whatnot.
Ooh, okay.
Wait, where are the... Oh, I see them.
See?
Okay. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, there they
And
are.
another thing is, underneath your character's portrait and hit points and whatnot, there is a little box that says favorites. If you have a spell that you like, you're a wizard and you use Firebolt a lot, callback. This is the place to just put
Or
it down, so you
me-
don't constantly have to go
Me
to
and
the
my
spells.
druid guiding bolt, which is weird because it's a cleric spell, but I used it like every combat, so that
Yes.
would have been.
You missed with
Yeah,
it
we,
every combat.
And I actually didn't learn.
I missed with it every combat, you little shit.
It's true though.
It's
figure out the
true,
hot
but
bar
I
till-
Man,
I hit when
Foundry
it
is looking
counted.
better and better.
These,
I swear to
this
God,
is so cool.
Foundry is looking better and better.
I'm
just
having so
hope-
much fun
is-
with just making this.
Isabel, what's
just-
funny? So in Baldur's Gate, whenever I use what were they, the guiding bolt, we are.
Yep.
What was? Yeah, whenever I use it,
You
I'm
use
also
guiding
missing.
bolt, but you're a
No, the Shadow Heart, whatever her name is. She's a
oh.
cleric, so she's using it, and every time she's missing, I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
now I know how it feels. to
Yeah,
miss
it's real
guiding bolt
sad
every
because
time.
it does
'Cause
so
it
much
hits
damage,
hard.
and if you miss it, you waste that spell slot. Well, at least for me, I didn't waste too many spell slots because I had some free uses of it. But yes, it was very sad whenever I would miss because I would be like, "That's 4d6 I could be doing right now," and
Yep.
it's
And I'm
just
not.
nothing. And I could be giving the next person like advantage on their attack, like so dumb. Yeah. Anyway.
So there's that, and then the third page with the different factions. If you click on one of the banners, it'll give a little bit of information about the faction itself. There's also a second page which is important context. That will list the leader of the faction and their lieutenant or lieutenants. Those are the most important people that you will run into. These are people that at the start of the campaign you will have heard of at the very least. The lieutenants not necessarily, but they're there because you're going to run into them very quickly. But especially the faction leaders you will have heard of. At least in passing glance. You will have heard of the Queen of Thieves. You probably never met her, but you've probably heard of her. I'll just give you guys a couple more minutes to just have a look around, and then I'm going to read you a little story.
Just one quick thing.
Yep.
Could you re-import my character because I haven't had the spell selected before today?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Lord of the Land.
Thank you.
And done. Which I believe, by the way, you can do yourself as well if you want to. I believe you have the right to do so as well. If you, at the top
Is
of
this
your
one-
screen, click the little wrench icon, there'll be like a little black button that says D&D Beyond. If you click that and then hit import, or start import, I think that should work from your side as well.
Where on the screen?
So if you have your character sheet open, in the red bar all the way at the top left, there's a little wrench. If you click that, you'll turn on edit mode. Then you'll see a black button that says D&D Beyond right underneath it. And from there, just hit the start import button.
Oh, I
Very-
see.
Tell me
This
why.
should work from you as well.
Tell me why there's a stash on this freaking page that I just clicked on, and it makes I
Why shouldn't
can't.
there be a
Did
one?
you
Everyone
just
is
do,
so
like, a
happy.
clown noise. That's hilarious. I was like,
But
what
it did
is
also
this
open a page, right?
mustache? Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I was like, who is this mustache man? And then I was
I was
like, wait.
writing this and I was like, I gotta have it add in like a little Easter egg. While you do not see an immediate reason for this mustache to be here between all the other scrapbook style bits of information, you somehow sense a connection between them.
Sometimes you can hear his voice in your head.
Yes.
Oh,
Simon
little
the Divine?
Kendall still living rent free in your head?
Still living rent free. Kendall, yes.
I think we can't import our own characters if we don't set them to public.
That could be a good point. Yep. If they're public, you should be
Yeah,
able to.
you
If they're not
guys in
public, then
your-
that might be.
I was sneaking peeks at other people's character sheets, and our friends are not all being very secretive about their character sheets.
They're allowed to, unless at the very least at the start of the campaign, you're allowed a little
Just
secrecy.
fine. Yeah, I mean, like, it was just funny that I could see some of them, and I was like, there's no button. I want to see. But that's okay. I don't really care. I'll meet you all soon enough.
Yeah, you will.
All right.
One way or
So
another.
you want me to read a
This
bit of an
is-
intro for you?
The only
Yes.
thing that is bothering me about this page is that
Yes.
they're not all centered. Elodie
I-
is not
it's
in
scrapbook
line
style.
with Nespip. Why?
Scrapbook style.
Can't you be a neat scrapbooker?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Never
Hang
mind.
There you go. They're aligned.
Live magic to
Oh, there you go. Okay. It's beautiful. Thank
If that's the
you
fan
for
service I have to do, then
humoring
that's fine.
me.
Let me put Nibardo like right in the middle. There we go. Like that's nice and centered.
perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Now read us a story.
Alrighty.
Yes, please.
Set the tone.
Will do. I'm gonna swap out the music for that as well, because this is as epic as this is, the story might require
Yeah,
something
I
a
feel
little bit
like
more relaxed.
I need some mysterious. Yeah.
Oh, and we have a whole, like, I got about 3.5 hours worth of new music for you guys. So there's something to look forward
Whoa.
to. There's a couple of reuses because they're just really good, but beyond that, I have a lot of new stuff.
I mean, Skyrim reused theirs for like 10 years, so.
Like, because it's good music, you know, it was
I
good
know,
and
that's
like, you know,
what I'm
don't,
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Giving yourself some applause there.
No,
you-
I just noticed that this is that you can add as a sound effect, but yeah.
What it is? Nobody
No.
tell me where the sound effects are.
No.
I'll be unstoppable with them.
I'll go with this one. There we go. Like, this is nice and relaxed and slightly mysterious. We can work with this. All right. So the story I have for you, it's not too long, but it'll give a good intro. So, my good friends, Drakkenheim is no more. Once a jewel of civilization, its spires stretched towards the heavens, its streets thumbed with life and energy. But that was before the fateful day when a meteor rent the sky, shattering the city and leaving nothing but ruins in its wake. 15 years have passed since that cataclysmic event, and in the wake of Drakkenheim's destruction, the city became a battleground for the desperate, the ambitious, and the ruthless. 5 factions with their own beliefs, ideals, and visions for the future are at constant odds, leaving the current fate of Drakkenheim to be anyone's guess. Even the land surrounding the city of Drakkenheim, indeed the whole continent, would be impacted by a destruction so severe. Farmlands surrounding the city slowly began to stop giving crops, eventually turning into barren wastelands, their owners moving to find a better future. Several major bloody wars ravaged the countryside, but now the dust was finally settling a little, so to speak. And beyond the destruction, the disarray, and the politics, life would continue at a relatively normal pace. Merchants still operated out of the small villages far enough away from Drakkenheim to not be too severely impacted, and ale still flowed in many an inn and tavern. Those in need of work would find it. And this brings us to the 5 of you. You will either have arrived on or are living on the continent, the world that we are looking at. The world itself has a couple of provinces. One of them is the province of Westhamar. And within this province, we have a capital called Drakkenheim. This is the center of our story. Drakkenheim was impacted by a meteor 15 years ago. And during the adventure, you will learn more and more about it. But what you know is that the meteor itself was absolutely devastating when it hit. Nobody really saw it coming until it was too late already. When it hit the city, large amounts of people just died. The impact was absolutely tremendous and severe. But those that did survive succumbed to the madness and terribleness that followed. Widespread stories of mutations and other horrible eldritch magics are still told to this day, and after 15 years, there is some proof about it as well. Horrific things happen to people when they are in the city. And unfortunately, even after 15 years, this is still a reality. The meteor itself has lunged itself into a corner of the city. And from there, this horrid purple mist called the haze started spreading through the city. Today, 15 years later, this purple haze is permeating the entire city and about 2 miles around it. Unfortunately, everything in this haze slowly succumbs to a terrible mutation. A couple of things that other adventurers do know is that you can venture into the haze without too many risks from the haze itself. A word of caution, though, those that venture into the city will find that they can no longer take a long rest while they're in this haze. As soon as they get out, they can, but within the mists, you cannot gain the benefits of a long rest. Sure, you can sleep. That does pose a risk, but you will not recover spell points, you will not recover hit points, anything like that.
It's insane.
There are places within the city, especially within the walled part of the city. As a matter of fact, let's pull up the city map for that. If we're talking about it anyways, this might help a little bit.
This feels like hard mode or something. Like as soon as you
It is
go in the
something.
city, you can't rest.
It is something to consider. You know, sure.
we went from Icefire Peak newbie mode to fucking
Yeah.
hardcore.
So like you're
Yeah,
dying.
we were on easy mode. Now we're on hard mode.
The city itself has basically two areas. I mean, there's a lot more areas, but there's basically two distinct big areas. There is the inner city and the outer city. The inner city itself is the part that is within the walls of Drakkenheim. It is the center of the city, and it is on one side bordered by Castle Draken, the large castle of the royal family that once seated the city and has until the day of the meteor. No one has seen any of the royal family since that day, and so they are presumed dead. The Von Kessels, as they are called, lived in this castle, and the castle itself, while also, of course, scathed by the meteor, can still be seen if you approach the city. The spires are still sticking up rather high. This is not because of the castle's height. The castle itself is actually rather small, but it is situated on a hill. Because of that, the elevation of the land, you can still see it from miles and miles around. Other spires that you can see in the city are the spires of the Cathedral St. Vitruvio, the large cathedral, which is also within the inner city, as well as the Inscrutable Tower, which is an obsidian glass tower that was one of the places of study of the Amethyst Academy, the mage guild, if you will, of the world of Drakkenheim. The meteor, when it came in, cleaved right through this tower. It literally busted it in half. But in sheer defiance of gravity, the top part of the tower is still floating above where it was burst off of the rest of the tower. It is an interesting sight, but because of that, you can still see it from miles and miles around. You can see the damage is just sort of floating around it in place. It looks interesting. Beyond those, there is, when you get a little closer to the city, also the large clock tower. The clock tower is on the market square, which again is in the center of the city. It's another thing that you can see and that people use to navigate. That is the inner city, its prominent places. And then you have the outer city, because when Drakkenheim started growing, obviously not everyone could live within the walled confines of the city. So a large sprawl has erupted outside of the city in the last couple of 100 years, with people trying to live as close to the city to work, live, and build a life. All of this is well within that 2-mile radius, and all of it is coated in this purple haze. All of it has also really been hurt by the meteor. Because other than the fallout and the mist and whatnot, you can imagine that basically everything was burning in eldritch fire when this meteor came in. And the outer sprawls are definitely of a lower quality housing than the inner city. So most of it was made of timber and other flammable materials. Large portions of the outer spokes have been completely burned down or worse. But the streets are still there, and they're worth navigating. The city itself is cut in half by the Dran River, the large river that was originally the reason for the city to start building here, because that brought trade into the city and was a flow of fresh water in its day. Nowadays, that freshness has waned a little bit. As you can imagine, the water is heavily contaminated by the magics of the meteor. The Dran River itself is still flowing and is thus a very strong and deep river. You can try to cross it by swimming, but it is ill-advised for, I think, good reason. If you do want to cross the river, there are 4 large bridges. Unfortunately, the 4 bridges are all located within the inner city, so within the walls. There was a reason for this.
Not this one?
That is not a bridge.
Oh, what is it?
No. Depending on if you come from Drakkenheim or not, I will tell you in a bit.
Okay.
Within the inner city, there are 4 bridges, and they're located within the inner city for a reason. Drakkenheim, after it started growing and growing, really quickly developed itself into an economic powerhouse. The big thing that made Drakkenheim the capital and the center of commerce was that they focused heavily on trade. They were very smart to do so. They had the river, they had a good lay within the land, and they profited very heavily from it. All of the roads that are leading towards Drakkenheim inevitably end up on the inside of the city, so through the walled inside of the city. These major roads are called Champions Way, Temple Road, Shepherd's Way, the Academy Street, and what was the 5th one again? King's Road. All of these are large roads that end up on a gatehouse on the main wall. Once one was through that, one could reach the bridges and cross the river. And what did Drakkenheim do? Well, they charged a toll at the gate for people to pass through. This was their main income for the city itself. The city had very low taxes for its people, but this basically covered all the expenses that the city needed because there was such an influx of trade into the city. This is the very reason why there's no bridges outside, because it would completely negate that source of income. You can imagine, though, that not everyone was willing to pay money to just cross a bridge. So there were other ways of getting across the river other than swimming, of course. So clandestine ferrymen and other people that would quickly bring you over with a boat for a few coin sprouted up here and there. And some of them are still in effect to this day. I hope that answers your question.
So that's what that is, or
Yeah, there's still there's
Okay.
word of a ferryman still in operation over there.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
Beyond the bounds of the city, there are 2 spots that people that go to Drakkenheim often frequent before they venture into the city. Now, make no mistake, nobody lives in Drakkenheim anymore, at least not willingly. There might be some people that are trying to stake it out over there, but you usually succumb to the mist and the horrors within it within days. So nobody really lives in Drakkenheim anymore. But there's still a lot of life in there, or lack thereof, if you will. There's a lot of monsters and horrors that stalk the streets, and there's wild stories about them, ranging from giant rats to hyenas to big mounds of flesh with 30 eyes and 50 mouths that try to envelop anything with a heartbeat, and worse than that.
Great, so my ex
so-
is there.
Yes.
Jesus Christ! I don't know if I like that.
So one would almost say that one is a fool to go to Drakkenheim unless one has a really good reason. And that is exactly what you would find with most people that are in or near the city. You're not going to go to Drakkenheim for vacation. You're not going to go to Drakkenheim to find a new property. No, you're going there to either rob the city of its riches, you're going there because you have a very good reason to go there, or because you have an ulterior other motive, like one of the 5 factions. Actually, all of the 5 factions might have. But the adventurers, which make a large portion of the people that venture into the city, use 2 locations outside of the city to convene and to resupply, to take a breather, maybe take their long rest before they actually get into the city. These 2 locations are on this cusp of this 2-mile radius of the haze, which is why it's a safe haven. To the west, or to the northwest, there is a place called Ackerman Mill. This is a previous farm that had a windmill. There seems to be a story with windmills in my stories, by the way. Elbow to Tim.
Did you hear
If
that?
you ever play Curse of Strahd with me, you'll know. The Ackerman Mill is a dilapidated mill. That's really what it is. It is absolutely no longer a farm anymore because nothing grows around Drakkenheim. But the mill itself is still standing and is serving as sort of a meeting place, if you will. There's nothing really there beyond just that, but it is outside of the haze. It is a safe place to pause. On the other side of the city, which is a little bit more elaborate, is Emberwood Village. That would be to the southeast. Emberwood Village is also about 2 miles out of the city. And Emberwood Village is a small hamlet that in recent years has grown to be a little bit more than just that. About 15, 20 years ago, it was just a blacksmith and maybe a pub or two and a couple of houses. Nowadays, it's a lot more than that. It's still not a city in its own right. It's very much still a village, but it has been completely turned into a supply camp for anyone that is coming in. You can buy and sell anything in Emberwood Village to a degree. Anything that might be worth a lot of money because it is either stolen from the royal family or is like a painting by a well-known painter or whatever. So we're talking stuff that needs to be fenced rather than sold. Could be sold in Emberwood Village, but that is going to be tricky. People don't want to burn their hands on things that are too hot. But beyond that, you can get anything. You want to buy a suit of armor, you totally can find that in Emberwood Village. Magic items, probably as well. Thing is, not everything is readily available. They have connections, and you will be able to find them if you talk to the right people, but it can take a time before it actually reaches the village. And that is because the village itself doesn't produce anything of its own right. There is a blacksmith, so they might produce like a couple of things. But beyond that, not even food and water comes from the village itself. Everything is import. Because of that, everything comes at a premium. That is something that you should remember when you are traveling around. Water itself is not given out free, and it is priced around the same price of alcohol, to give you an idea. So not impossibly expensive, but it costs a pretty penny to just be there. Still, you don't have any other ulterior place to go to unless you want to go back to Aldburg, which is about a 3-week travel. So,
hence the prices.
Yes. So to reiterate, well, actually, matter of fact, to come back to one point that I made is you go to Drakkenheim because you have a reason. You don't go to Drakkenheim to just have a look. You're playing with your life every single time you go into Drakkenheim. So you must have a good reason to do so. And that can be to just get rich. There's people that risk their lives to get rich. It can be another motive, but rest assured, anyone that you run into around this area will be here with a purpose in mind. And that brings me to the 5 factions. The city itself, 15 years ago when it was hit by the meteor, was ruled by the von Kessel family. After the meteor hit, there was no word of the royal family. Nobody knows if they made it out. Nobody knows if they're still trapped in the castle. There are some people that hope that that is the case, but nobody knows for sure. Because of that, in the last 15 years, a couple of very bloody civil wars have broken out in the countryside. There are some tied-in family members of the royal family that basically vied for the throne, because even though the city is in shambles, it is still the capital, and there is a lot of power to be gained from owning this place. So a couple of very bloody wars have erupted, which by the time that this adventure of us starts will have ended, but they will have left their mark on the surrounding land. People are licking their wounds, so to speak. In the midst of those bloody wars, a couple of decisions have been made all around, and those were the basis of the 5 factions. To go over all 5 of them, let me see which one I want to start with. Let's start with the Hooded Lanterns. The Hooded Lanterns are what remains of the old city guard blended in with what remains of the army that was in and around Drakkenheim. It is not really an army by any means anymore in terms of troops. They're still very militaristic though, and they do guard parts of this city. Their main wish is to restore Drakkenheim to its former glory. The Hooded Lanterns are a well-known site around Drakkenheim and also on its outskirts. They have an outpost in Emberwood Village as well. And generally speaking, they still kind of act militaristic and kind of defensive on the Drakkenheim side. Their leader is Lord Commander Elias Drexel. He was an old general from the war, and he has been appointed as commander of the forces of the Hooded Lanterns. The reason why they're called the Hooded Lanterns, by the way, is because that was the sign of the City Watch. So they just renamed themselves after their sigil. Then we have the Queensmen. The Queensmen is a very difficult faction. After the city fell, all the bandits and thugs and hoodlums that poured into the city, as you can imagine, to rob the city of its riches, had a bit of a problem with one another, as you do, because when you're a criminal, you try to steal something and someone else tries to steal that as well. It's going to be like, hey, I was here first, and that's inevitably going to lead to bloodshed. This happens, that's okay, but at some point, larger groups are taking on larger groups, and it just gets people nowhere. After a couple of years, a mysterious woman known as the Queen of Thieves stepped up and basically put all of them under her rule. What this means is that everyone who works under or with the Queen of Thieves is entitled to a part of the city to do with that as they see fit in terms of robbing people out in the street and whatnot. The Queen of Thieves makes sure that all of these groups that are under her rule don't mess with one another unless it's okay. Think of it like the modern day mafia, really. The Queen of Thieves is a very elusive lady. Everyone knows of her. Nobody has probably seen her, save for a select few. She moves in very mysterious ways, but she has a very tight grip on the city and beyond. If the Queen of Thieves asks you to do something, you would be a fool not to do it. The third faction would be the Knights of the Silver Order. This is a paladin order. Now, one thing you must know is that the Knights of the Silver Order do not come from the area of Drakkenheim. Indeed, they come from another province over. This other province over is not a kingdom, but rather a, what's the name of that again? A theocracy. There we go. Which means that there's no king at the head of this province, of this state, but rather a religious person, kind of like the Vatican. The leader of this province just so happens to also be the divine leader of the faith, and because of that, she commands all the paladins in the realm. After about 10 to 12 years, they have started to look at Drakkenheim and consider the meteor be very dangerous. The meteor itself destroyed the city, of course, but beyond that, it is still posing a threat to the people around that. And by divine decree, they decided that this must be resolved by any means necessary. So a detachment of paladins have been sent to Drakkenheim to deal with the matter at hand. You can imagine what this does to the countryside because, well, there's a bunch of paladins coming in, but this is also an army from another place that is basically coming to lay siege to this town and do something with it. That kind of sets the mood and kind of sets tension between people. I hope you're starting to see why these factions don't get along that well. Then we have the Amethyst Academy. The Amethyst Academy is the legion of everyone that is a magic user. Now, I say everyone, but there is a catch to that. We'll get to that in a second. How this works in this world is that on the continent, the world that we find ourselves in, people that are born with magic capabilities are seen as having sort of like a divine spark or magic spark, if you will. If you're born with this, that means that you probably need good schooling and help to be able to use your magic well. There's a whole history behind this, which I won't get into right now because that'll take another half hour. It's really interesting, and we'll get into that in the campaign probably. But for now, that is just a preface. What this means for people that are born in this world, if you have this magic spark, you will be taken into the Amethyst Academy's schools, kind of like a boarding school, and you will be taught the ways of magic. And this can mean one of two things for the people that go there. Either they successfully follow their complete training and come out a wizard, and they can either join the Amethyst Academy or stake it out on their own. Like they're not obligated to stay part of the Amethyst Academy. If you either drop out, you're kicked out, you dabble in weird magics and you're expelled, you become a sorcerer rather than a wizard. So this kind of deviates from the normal D&D rules. So in this world, they just say they're one of the same, just one completed their studies, the other one didn't. I like that. It's fun. So
Again, more
sorcerers
tension.
did see, yeah. So sorcerers did see the Amethyst Academy to a degree, but they never completely fully fulfilled their training. Now, this leaves out a lot of other classes that use magic, right? Like bards and druids and whatnot. Those are not seen as actual magic users in this world. That doesn't negate the fact that they can do magic, though. Like, they can still definitely do their spells and whatnot. But by the Amethyst Academy standards, they are dabblers of magic. They play around with tricks and they know some stuff and they can bend it to their will fine enough, but they're no true mages. They're no wizards. They're no sorcerers. They're being looked down upon, basically. This is a thing that people don't like about the Amethyst Academy. There's a certain elitist feeling to them. The Amethyst Academy, excuse me, the Amethyst Academy operates everywhere on the continent. So the Inscrutable Tower, the tower that's been blasted through by the meteor, is one of their locations, but they have a lot more beyond the bounds of Drakkenheim. All the other major cities have places of the wizards where they train and whatnot. So this is not just their one seat of power. The Amethyst Academy, in complete defiance of the Paladins of the Silver Order, looks at the issue at Drakkenheim from a completely different standpoint. What they notice is that this meteor that crashed into the city offers vast potential. There is an eldritch power coming from this meteor that needs to be studied. They have already uncovered that delirium, the crystal that comes from this meteor, offers a lot of magical potential to those that wield it, and the Amethyst Academy is thirsty for more knowledge. So rather than to destroy the meteor right now, they would prefer to cautiously study it. And because of that, a expedition of the Amethyst Academy is underway to make sure that that actually happens in Drakkenheim. Again, you can see why these guys are at a standoff with one another. I'm missing out one faction. Oh, yeah, the followers of the Falling Fire. This is the final one, which just really completes the, oh, you guys don't like each other circle. Where the Paladins believe that the meteor that came crashing down is a sign of pure evil, just like, the opposite of divine. The followers of the Falling Fire also hold a different belief. Led by an older cleric that was once a staunch follower of the Silver Order. Sorry, she looked at the meteor and had an epiphany, a vision. Rather than seeing this as a source of evil, she saw this as a divine sight. This is actually a gift from the heavens. This meteor is the step that the people of the world need to advance and to ultimately protect themselves. She has written an entire book about this, almost in the style of like a Bible, and she religiously, with underlining religiously, is defending this as a faith. Luckily for her, there's a lot of people that do believe her story, because it's a lot safer to believe in this being a divine gift rather than it being the spawn of evil. Because of that, she has a large congregation of followers that really do believe her. Word has it that she and her followers are often found in the heart of the city, even close to the meteor's crash site. And people go in there and do come out as well, which sparks a lot of disbelief. If you get that close to the meteor, there's no way you're surviving. There really isn't. There's just radiance of eldritch power coming off of this meteor. There's no way you're surviving that. Yet these people kind of do. You can imagine, again, why these have a constant standoff, because they don't want this meteor to be studied, broken down for study. This needs to be preserved. It shouldn't be destroyed. It should be preserved. It shouldn't be stolen. It should be preserved. So because of that, all these 5 factions really are at a Mexican standoff with one another. All of them vie for rule over the city for their own reasons. And over the last 15 years, this balance of power has been shifting around from one to another. But after 15 years of squabbling, they're basically back where they started. All 5 of them want something with the city. And all 5 of them really don't do anything with the city right now. There's a couple of strongholds here and there, but beyond that, it's minimal in contrast to the size of the city. And that is where you guys come in. You come in for your own reasons, and you're going to get mixed up in the middle of that. That's a lot of talking. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I love
Don't
it.
apologize. That's your whole thing, man.
The whole point. Gotta get this info in here.
So to end that part, do you have any questions about the story?
No,
No.
I mean, I so the most so kind of the bulk of this is going to be Drakkenheim, like in the city.
Yes, you will not venture outside the
Okay.
city beyond Amberwood Village and Ackerman Mill. There is a second campaign in the works by the Dungeon Dudes for the wider area around Drakkenheim, but this is
Oh,
all going to
wow.
be the city.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The whole like sorcerer versus wizard thing, if someone showed like more magical potential than just like being a druid or like a cleric or something,
Mhm.
but they never went to the academy, what would that be? Would that be
Oh, they
still a
will.
sorcerer, or would
That
that
would
be
that would ultimately still turn into a sorcerer because you've never really
okay?
learned to hone your magic in a
They've
like in a
never
studious way.
had formal training. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but you'd be hard pressed to find someone that hasn't been in touch with the Amethyst Academy if they were born with the magic spark. The Amethyst Academy
Right.
knows, and they will come and pick you up.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's more like
Yeah.
wizard's more like a it's like a university study. Like you've studied it, and then the sorcerer is a more self-taught. Like you've
Yeah.
developed. You both had the skill, and then but one looked up YouTube videos and figured it out themselves. The other one went to school.
That is exactly
Yes,
where it is.
classic YouTube video sorcerer.
And maybe to elaborate a little bit more on that, because I think that is warranted here. The reason why this is because like it's not that the Amethyst Academy is like this evil overlord kind of school that just steals children for their own good. I mean, make of it what you will, still, because like you can definitely have an opinion about the way that this goes. But the reason why they're doing this, why they're picking up people that have this magic spark and they're teaching them and whatnot, this is actually a law of the land. The so-called Edicts of Lumen is a set of laws that were erected about, I believe, 200-300 years ago, but I can look it up if I want to have the exact date. Before that, things like the Salem witch trials and whatnot in real life definitely happened here in this world with anyone that showed signs of magic. The fight between people who used magic and who didn't use magic was very thorough, very bloody, very terrible. And then at some point, finally, they sort of reached an agreement where they said, listen, we want to live, right? Like we want to use our skills for good. We don't want to be prosecuted, but we also understand that you're scared of us. So let's make a couple of agreements here that we can sort of like coexist peacefully. These were the Edicts of Lumen, and what this entailed. There's a lot of rules that, once again, we'll get into when the story goes. But a couple of important points here was that one, if you have the magic spark, you cannot hold any form of power. This means if you're part of the royal family, you're born and you get the magic spark, you have to give up the throne. Like so, if the prince that would once inherit the throne would have the magic spark, tough luck. You cannot become a king. That is just a law of the land. So anyone, and that holds for like it's not just the throne. This would be for any form of baronage, peerage. This would be for higher offices of power. So a major Drakkenheim cannot be a magic user. To just segregate that magic versus power, because you already have power. We're not going to give you the political side of it as well. That is one of the main rules. The other rule is that magic unkempt or untamed is dangerous. So anyone who is born with this magic spark should be taught to use it well. And that is the reason why they, by oath, by law, have to take in everyone who shows this sign and pick them up and teach them. It is sort of a bit of preservation to see other lesser magic users as like, oh, it's just lesser. Because if they wouldn't, they basically have to take everyone into school, which once again is dangerous and would probably erupt the Edicts of Lumen right in their face. So that's why it's really like cornered off like just that.
But does that also mean that being a bard does not bar you from positions of power because they are not real magic users?
Yes, however, this is a yes and. With most magic users that fall outside of the category of wizard and sorcerer, would be wise that if they're in a situation where, if you're running for public office and you're a bard, you're probably not going to show that you use magic, because when you do, people will not like that. Especially the people in power around you are going to be like, let's just say that you run a political campaign. Your opposition is going to use that against you. It's going to be like, but he's a filthy magic user. And so you're not going to show that. That's how heavy this weighs on people. So while that would be okay as a bard, because you're not a real magic user, you don't fall into the edicts of Lumen, you're fine. It's still, ooh, you use magic. So you would be cautious in using that in public like that.
I will remember this.
I hope you do. Because this is fun. This works both ways. You can definitely use this in a public place, and people are going to be like, oh, like it works. People are magic isn't that widespread in this world. People know bards, people know druids, people know sorcerers and wizards, but it's like one in every, like there's a number, but I believe one in every 1,000 or one in every 5,000 even has magic. So it's known, but it's rare.
It was 1,000. I remember from the handout. It was every 1 in 1,000.
So it's rare, and that includes druids and like all the lesser magic users, to use that word. So feel free to use that to your advantage. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Nope. I know I'll probably have questions as we get into it.
Probably. But this should just give you like a bit of a preface. So I think I want to turn it around now and bring it to you. I don't know if and if so, what you want to share about your characters. But let's just do a roundtable about the characters. What I'd like to know, if you want to share it, of course, is just a bit about your character. Like, who are you? What are you? Are you a human? Are you whatever? So who are you? What are you? What is your reason for going to Drakkenheim? And feel free to obscure any information there that you don't want to share just yet, because you all have your personal quest, and it's fun if you keep something secret. But you're probably going to have a story for the road at the very least. Like, you're traveling in, and everyone knows you're not going to Drakkenheim for vacation. So why are you here? Let's just do a round table, and let's just do them alphabetically on characters. So let's start with Atoli.
Well, I'm not sure about the traveling in part, because
this is the moment to discuss.
Yep. Atoli grew up, as far as he remembers, in Drakkenheim. It's the only thing he remembers, except for the actual crashing of the meteor and everything that happened afterwards. So he's been here the entire time and been around the entire time, and he wants back in now at a older age, more refined, I guess. That's actually what I'm gonna just say about that.
All right. So for you, because I know that like you're from this immediate area and you didn't want to go on caravan, I have a solution for your character that you don't have to go with the caravan's initial story. So you'll be fine.
Yep.
All right. That was it.
That was it.
Do you want to share anything about who and what you are, or is that just like this is your
Don't
name?
want to tell us what he looks like? Don't want to describe his clothes?
Nothing.
Okay.
You're welcome to not share. That's fine.
Helpful.
All right, Elodie.
All right, Elodie. It is like melody, but without the M. So
got it. Okay. This also really helps. So let me like voice your name once for 2.
Elodie.
That helps. Thank you.
Elodie is young. She is upper teens. I'll just describe her physically first. She has long blonde hair that's like kind of like it's got some brown in it. Like, it's not pure blonde. It's not like a what would you say, like a platinum blonde. It's more of, we call it here like dirty blonde. I don't know if you guys use that.
Use dirty blonde too.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And she has blue eyes, and she is like normal height for a human. She's human. And yeah, her class is a rogue. So I'm really excited to play a rogue and bring that all the way through all the levels. Hopefully she survives.
This is your first time playing a rogue?
With her 8 hit points. So
feels so squishy right when you start out.
Punched in the face. All right. And I don't know how much she would say about why she's going there. She's looking for someone. I think is what she would say. She has lost someone and she's looking for them. And what else? That's about it.
So, and you were traveling by caravan because like you can use the money, or is this just easier than walking? Because it is. You know? Do you
I
like the
think it's probably
company?
easier than walking, and you can use the money. She has recently had some like financial issues, and like she's been living with a friend in one of the outer villages, and is just getting impatient and more worried about her situation, basically. And so she's taking some action, and she's nervous, quiet, smart, and jumpy. She's a little flighty. So yeah, that's her.
Alrighty. Felix,
She
you're
remind
next.
me, I did have a question. She remind me, what is the level range? Like, what do we like for this? Because I think the last one was like 7 or something. Like this one's going to 1 to what? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so you're going to start out at level 1. You're very quickly going to level to level 2. Like basically, the level 1 is just to get you there to Drakkenheim.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't screw up immediately, which is always a possibility, you'll hit level 2 rather quickly. Ultimate level for Drakkenheim, depending on how you play, will be about 12 to 14 somewhere.
Sorry to interrupt.
Perfectly fine. Next one is Felix.
Felix is a human. He hails from Caspia, from the Tower of Swords. And he's been traveling to Drakkenheim on family business. That's what he would be telling. So he would be traveling through Liberio, and he would have probably met Nespip on the way to Altbrücke. Or is that where the caravan starts?
I believe it does, actually. Hang on, let me look up just to be sure. Because it says I believe it's Aldberg, which is like slightly the other way around. But let me just look it up to be sure.
Basically, Christian and I wanted to have our characters meet in advance, basically on the road while accidentally accompanying the same caravan.
It is from the city of Altberg.
Where is that?
Well, that's what it says in the manual, so I'm quickly going to look at the picture where that is.
Because I don't see that city anywhere.
No, I think they because the name doesn't tell me anything either. Let me see.
Initially, we planned to meet on the way to Geldstadt, but
I mean, it's
we didn't
anything that
quite
is like
know
a
where
couple
we
of. It's basically anywhere out of a couple of weeks out of Drakkenheim. So I'm fine with like altering that if that suits everyone's needs. Like unless you have a specific reason, like you want to come from somewhere else, but.
As far as the Barlin is concerned, it's. I'll explain. It doesn't really matter which way you come from because he can get there.
All right,
all roads lead to Drakkenheim.
Well, that is very true. So, seeing as you and Nespip then have a bit of a shared story, and where did you want to start then?
We thought we met somewhere on the road from Leuchten to Geldstadt.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Like that is still like a little ways out of Drakkenheim, still fits the story. It doesn't really matter where we start per se, as long as it's a little bit out of Drakkenheim. So I'm fine with that. Yep.
And yeah, I think that's all I'll tell about him.
Sounds good.
We are sharing nothing.
And we don't know what you look like yet either.
We don't know what you look like because you literally don't have a character picture.
Okay,
How
I'll
are
maybe
we
give a
supposed-
quick description.
Yeah,
Sure.
tell us what he looks like at least. Come on.
Okay, he's human. He's approaching maybe 30 years old, maybe somewhere around there. He has short, well-kept black hair. Brown eyes, is just under 6 feet tall. And he's wearing some well-made leather armor that's seen better days. And in general, he's a very tidy and almost refined appearance. And there's maybe one distinct feature that you will see at first glance, and that's his armor. On his chest, there's a spot where there obviously used to be some type of insignia or badge, but it's no longer there. That's all I'll give.
That's a good description. I like
I
that.
like it.
Hey,
All right. That brings us to Nespip.
So, Nespip is a gnome artificer. When you first see him, he just looks tired. He has eye bags, he's an unkept beard and everything like that. He's wearing a retrofitted, basically Smith's apron, that is retrofitted to being armor. So it has a lot of pockets, so many pockets. And on all of the pouches and everything, there are metal plates attached to it. So it also works as some kind of armor. All of the metal is tarnished and somewhat like weathered, basically. Yeah, he is on his way to. He comes from the Glimmer Mountains. There he learned artificing, and now he's on his way to Drakkenheim because he's searching someone. Yeah, that's it.
Sounds good.
You
Also,
said
I think
searching for someone, or
I'm searching for someone, yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm searching someone. And also, he's missing his, on his left hand, he's missing his ring finger, and on his right hand, he's missing his middle finger already.
like a true artificer.
Yes.
I was like, how many fingers does he have?
Hey!
Well, that was my next question.
The less you have, the better artificer you are.
guess you've learned more lessons.
So that might be another thing that I would want to add in. Looking at like the world map itself. So we have the province of Westamar, which is where we're going, right? That is where Drakkenheim is. Then you have Illyria, which is the seat of all the religious stuff that I talked about earlier. So the paladins come from Illyria. And then on the other side, because it's sort of like a three-way prong, if you will. On the other side, you have the province of Caspia. Now, Caspia is also well known for something, and that is that the people coming from Caspia, the Caspians, are known for their battle prowess, if you will, especially when you look at like the people that are slightly higher up in like the lordly ranks and whatnot. They all have this sort of innate love for fighting and settling disputes by the sword rather than by talking. This translates even into the way that they govern their kingdom, if you will. Because their king is not a thing that descends from father to son or mother to daughter, but rather it is something that is gained every some years by a fight. A large tournament is held, and the victor of this tournament is crowned king for the next couple of years. So it is very like ingrained in the people over there. Running into a Caspian will almost always ensure that there's going to be some bravoure. They don't immediately attack you or anything. They're not barbarians, but they do have this bravoure about them, if you will. So rather than being like holier than thou or very politically inclined, they're just going to be the cool dudes. You know, so that is a thing to keep in mind from that area of the land.
The cool dudes.
Yeah, it's I love like it's just funny that every province like has such a like, you know, the people over here are very different. Like it's so cool.
Using your fists instead of words. Very
cool. But even like going as far as to use that to
cool.
elect a king, right? It's just by election.
Yeah,
like,
that is
cool.
That is cool. Never mind. You're right.
And the city, and the city that Tim mentioned, which is not going to be featured in this campaign per se, but like that area is called their main capital is called the Tower of Swords. And the very reason why this is called the Tower of Swords, because I've seen a preview image of like how that area is going to look, because that's going to be the next campaign that they're currently working on. And they brought out an image of this city already. The Tower of Swords is a large city, and like to the side in the middle of the city is basically a structure that looks like a gigantic sword. And that's why it's called the Tower of Swords. Like, it's so military, like so everything is around fighting over there. Like even their main building is a sword.
I mean, in the eventuality that your planet crashes into another planet, your planet is ready.
You got a sword. Yeah. Just drop a towel next to it and you're done. For those of you that know the reference. Do you have your towel already? All right. We have one more person. Nibarlan, what's your story?
So the Nibarlan is so it's a little bit of backstory that your previous characters would know. Nibarlan, actually they wouldn't know it, but Nibarlan's the grandson of the Nibarlan from the last thing, and he has arrived on this continent from a faraway land of Faerun. He's been spending the past, I don't know, almost a year. He's been hobnobbing with some of the nobles, kind of going meeting the nobles, learning the area, kind of learning about the continent, the history, making some connections. He's been really just fascinated with this area, and despite what rumors would suggest, he is going to Drakkenheim for vacation. So he is actually going there because it just sounded really cool. So, despite what people have said, he is the one guy who is literally going there for funsies.
I can see the kinship.
Sense of adventure is still a good reason to go to Drakkenheim. It's not just like, you don't take your camera, you take a sword with you.
So, wait, Nibarlan he's the second? So his dad was not named Nibarlan?
No, that would have been Chrisen, his dad, and he would have been a paladin that you would have met if we did a different campaign.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
One day I want to see the family tree, by the way.
We're developing
Nibar.
No, it's Nibarlan, Chrisen, Nibarlan, and then because I was trying to skip, because if you did Nibarlan again, it'd be Nibarlan Junior. But if you skipped one, then it could be the second, and I didn't want to put Junior. So
it's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good. Okay, yeah, I see.
So they just alternate between Nibarlan and Chrisen.
So you talk about bringing a sword, and that kind of leads to the next thing of his description. He doesn't carry a sword. He instead has a hatchet because his family comes from a. They do have some very fantastic wood that they are known for. His family is known for having exquisite, very well made, long-lasting wood. Which is why he has a hatchet, as well as a spear, which has it's a amber hue that, as the players, you probably would know that his shield is made from a very similar amber hue, and his bow is also made from the same very well polished amber wood. He's wearing a leather gear that is very well maintained. It's got some wear, but that's just from the road. And he has around his necklace made of silver and a large claw that is fashioned to that there. And if anyone asks him, he says it's from a very powerful dragon.
A white.
That
hold on a minute. Wait a minute.
A desiccated white dragon claw, huh?
Yes, from a very powerful dragon that terrorized that his grandfather slayed.
His grandfather slayed? Oh, okay. We're rewriting history.
I heard it was a manticore that slayed that dragon.
I heard
his grandfather and associates, right?
His grandfather's
grandfather totally slayed that dragon, did the final blow and everything. Yeah, that's canon. That's what's happened.
It was an amazing story. He was in the air wrestling with it and like stabbing with a sword. It was
fuck Nibarlan to a million pieces.
I'm sorry, wasn't he the one that slipped on ice and got knocked out?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's no one to correct him in this world.
Yeah, true.
No,
that's true.
That part is like,
nobody knows.
We're just gonna have to believe him because none of our characters know about that.
It's also like 60 years later, so
That is true.
Yeah. So
And Kendall is
60 years
probably still
later,
around.
yeah. So some of the characters might, some people might be around. And also on that, I get the sense that if I have a hunch that Felix would, I mean, you may have bumped into each other, or at least heard of him. If I'm getting the sense that the circles that Felix might be familiar with, that if he's in high society, you may know about him. Because he's, would I be? You don't have to say it, but it can come up later. But I get that feeling because he has been spending some time in the continent, learning the area, and is now going to Drakkenheim for a fun visit. One thing he does have too, also, is a leather bound. It's a wrapped thing. It's a book, and it has this nice P embossing on it that has his family logo. He'll tell you it's his family emblem sigil, and he's been studying it, and he'll probably explain as we get more into it. But you see him read it every once in a while. He's trying to figure it out.
Is it a tome that summons
What? Is it what are you saying?
Oh, I was just asking if it's a tome that summons a lich every time you close it or something.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. Well, he would say it because he's been here for almost a year and he's not been able to do anything with it. But it's a book his grandfather gave him that's supposed to help him on his travel across the ocean. And it's got some things to do here. It says help from an old friend and help from a new sense. And he's done these rituals. He's tried it, and he's wasted a bunch of money on incense and all kind of stuff, and it doesn't work. So he's been.
That's hilarious. So he's probably looks like super irritated whenever he's looking at this book.
Because he's wasted a bunch of money buying incense to do this, and it just never seems to work for him.
That's so funny.
Weirdly enough, on the backside of this book, there's like this mouth, and it looks like there's a gem that you could fit in there, but you.
Nibalan, if your character was around Cassia and the Tower of Swords for a long time, and you were around like the noble circles, you might have met Felix before.
That's what I figured, because Barlin's been kind of to learn about the continent, because he did come over here on a merchant ship that he, through his connections in Faerun, he heard about the crash of this meteor and all the crazy stuff happening. So that's what kind of prompted his move over here. And when he got here, he's been, as a noble, he made some introductions with the owner of the company, who then introduced him to the nobles, and then from there he's been going around the land as an exotic foreign noble that. Everyone's just like, oh, he's from a different continent. This guy is recently. He's been regaling them of stories of his times in the dangerous salt marshes and the fighting ogres and the stories of his dragons and all sorts of stuff. So, but yeah, he would have been there. He would have been there. He would have been in the area for at least a month or two. So.
I love the contrast. I love the contrast to his grandfather.
I have to like the image that I have in my head is just like a British lord or whatever going to America, and people are being like, "This is a man that lives in an actual castle." Like,
that's the idea. And he's
not even made of plastic.
The contrast between his grandfather. So in the time that between when we left Nabarlan before and his grandson, the House of Paisan has become hugely powerful. It's become. I think if you read the kind of epilogue, it's a massively successful, basically monopoly, going from all the way from one side of the continent to the other on the north. So it's a very powerful house now, and is not the king of the, but he's the power behind the throne, basically.
King, close friend.
Yeah, think the house is kind of like House Lannister in Game of Thrones, where they aren't the rulers,
it's the king's
but
personal bank.
Yeah. If you don't have the political power, but you have the finance, you're pretty damn close to it, right? Like, yeah.
So that's the family he comes from. So he's a little bit more. He has a little bit more of that, panache of nobility and
So
wealth that
he would have grown
Nabarlin-
up with way more wealth than Nabarlin
Yeah.
grew up with.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nabarlin was a lower house, but his grandson grew up with a lot more wealth, and so he had.
He had a pony.
Yeah. He had a pony that he could ride. And when he went on to go ranging, he did so. It was more of a cleanup as opposed to leading the actual that kind of thing. Like, Nabarlin was in charge of the actual thing.
I have a question. Maybe my character can ask this at some point. But like, how do his weapons look? Like, are they shiny, like brand spanking new, like never been used, or are they like? Have they seen any action?
That's part of the thing. So they're very well maintained. I'll say that they look like they have been used, but they're very well maintained. So like the spear, for instance, like the wood and everything, if it had a nick, it's been repolished, it's been smoothed out. So it's sharp, but they're very well manicured.
I mean, hitting trees leaves marks too.
Oh, well, that's the hatchet. He has a hatchet that is also maintained, but that's it.
All right. Wonderful. Cool characters. And I know a lot more about you guys' backstories, of course. And like, this is going to be a really good story. Like, you guys complement one another in areas and very much not in other areas, which is great. That means that we have a good story. All in all, it also very much intertwines with the 5 factions. It's going to be great. Because you guys are going to be sucked into a story where on one side you have your personal reasons to go here and personal things to find out within the city, but you're going to find yourself in the midst of these factions because, as you can imagine, just staking it out for yourself in the city is going to be difficult, but there's always work for those that can handle their sword well. And the second you guys do, there will be people watching and they will be asking you for favors and other little jobs. And the more you do, the more you'll get involved. And that is in essence the story of Drakkenheim. It's gonna be great. So I had a quick look at the player handout as well that I gave you guys. I think I've covered pretty much everything from the Edicts of Lumen, the 5 factions. We've covered the personal quests earlier. You've made your characters based on that. So honestly, I think we've covered basically everything that we need to be able to conclude a session 0. Unless you still have any questions for me, which of course in the week leading up to our first actual session, if you have any questions, you can still ask me. Like, I can imagine it being on the spot sometimes it doesn't help, and then like tomorrow you're like, oh, by the way, feel free, you can still ask me. But if you have any questions, this is the moment to ask me. And you can always try, like even if it's something like this might be like already like telling something about the story, I'll tell you. But feel free to ask.
This I guess also something I was trying to think of. So the actual Drakkenheim city itself.
Yes.
And I'm asking questions that Nabarlin would have been asking over the past year. So the city itself, inside of the city, like it's not actually, aside from the crater of the cult or the whatever you said, the fire.
The cult of the falling
religion.
fire. Or the followers of the falling fire, I would say.
Aside from them,
cult, though.
Aside from them, there's not really any long-term like civilized inhabitants of the city.
Good question. And yes, there are actually. They're sparse and very few and far between. But there are a couple of notable locations that are, for lack of a better term, inhabited within the city. But there's very few of them. The one that is most known is the Shepherd's Gate. So the gate that is connected to the Shepherd's Way. That is one of the gates that is actually held by one of the factions. The Hooded Lanterns hold this gate. It is one of their very few strongholds in the city. They have a makeshift barracks close to it, which is basically a block of houses that they've just reinforced over the years. So they have the gate itself, or what is left of it. It's mostly intact because it is the gate that is one of the gates that is very far away from the crater, so it survived most of the impact. So that one is owned by one of the factions. Then there is, and this is on the outside, so in the outer city, so not within the walls. There is an area called the Spokes, and near there is a place called Buckle Down Row, which is an infamous set of streets. Buckle Down Row is an area where, in its heyday, when Drakkenheim was still normal Drakkenheim, that was a place you would want to go to get wasted, laid, or otherwise have fun. That was like the debauchery area of the city. Funnily enough, it still kind of is nowadays, just a different kind. Buckle Down Row is the area where most of the thugs, thieves, and hoodlums convene to conduct their business. And there's a couple of bars and cafes that are still serving that very purpose. The area itself is relatively safe if you don't count all the thugs, hoodlums, and whatnot. But they protect it like it's sort of like a stronghold, almost. You could say that is inhabited. People go in and out of it all the time, so it's not permanent. But there's a lot of people always there. Beyond that, there are reports of people staking it out in or near the city in like a mansion or a house. But those are either unaffiliated or people that you've heard in passing glance. Like there's actually people living in Drakkenheim, but you don't know who or what.
I guess the follow-up question to that is these kind of more established areas like you just mentioned, is it basically just a race to the bottom? Because if they don't get the benefits of a long rest, whatever the in-world term would be, they, I assume, aren't recovering like you would normally. So over time, everybody would just be killed.
How does
It's difficult. So you could imagine the amount of logistics that, for example, the gate requires for this. The Hooded Lanterns is still, in that regard, still like a regiment. It's not an army, but it's like they're still a sizable regiment. So they can swap out. So what they do is they send people to, for example, Amberwood Village to go and recuperate and hold guard on the tower over there for a week. Then they come back to Drakkenheim. They'll stay there for 1, maybe 2 days and get swapped out again. That is one of the ways that they do this. So there's a lot of logistics behind this, and they make it work, but it's difficult.
Oh, that makes sense then.
I mean, that's a sizable force if it's a week off and then 2 days on.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've done 3 tours in Drakkenheim. Oh man, how long were you in there? 1 week.
Yeah.
3 tours.
I tapped out after 3 days, man.
But that is really where it's at, and this is something we'll get into as we progress in the story. But like in terms of mutation and whatnot, I won't tell you too much until you actually like run into it. But know that there is this mechanic in Drakkenheim that is called exhaustion. Whereas if you go for a sleep for too long, or there's a couple of like plethora of other reasons why you can get exhaustion, this very quickly weighs down on your character. Like level 1 exhaustion is not that terrible. Level 5 exhaustion is you die, right? So it's a slippery slope and it goes really quick. Think of the mutation and the effects of the haze as an additional table of exhaustion. So you don't have 1 exhaustion table to deal with, because if you go for sleep for too long, that's still in effect. But now there's also mutation. So there's 2 tables that you need to keep in mind.
So you can sleep in the city, but you won't get any benefits of a long rest, including HP being restored.
Correct.
Any abilities coming back.
No, I will allow that you've actually had a mental rest, so that you will combat the exhaustion.
Yeah, so you'll come back and you won't have exhaustion. Okay, because I was wondering, do you still get exhaustion? Like, you still have to roll for exhaustion? Like, that's what
if you
happens.
If you have exhaustion, you won't lose it because of the long rest, which you usually would. But if you don't have exhaustion just yet, it will combat getting it due to loss of sleep. Do mind though, sleeping inside the city is ill-advised because of the horrors that walk around. You go ahead and find a safe place.
You have to find a real safe spot. Okay.
And there is talk of such locations, but that is something you'll have to find out in game.
Okay. And then I'm interested. So it's been 15 years, you said, since the meteor. So as like all of these houses and stuff, all these places where people lived, they're like super worn down, and all of the valuables are probably gone. Like
you'd be surprised.
Food, all the valuables, like
you'd be surprised because like if like a meteor would drop on New York City, you would imagine that after 15 years, most of the valuables in the city would be gone, right? The thing is, what really makes this difficult, like 15 years is a long time. But the effect of the meteor is really something that you shouldn't underestimate.
Mm.
Especially in areas where the mist is especially thick, because there's pockets where within the city it's just worse than somewhere else, which you'll run into during the story. The horrors that come from there sort of prevent people from fully looting the city. There's been no talk of someone breaching the walls of Castle Draken yet, for example. After 15 years,
Right.
they still haven't managed to get there. The Cathedral of
Mm.
St. Vitruvio is reportedly infested by something, but nobody knows what, because anyone that goes near it dies.
Mm.
So there's still a lot of areas in the city that are left unexplored, uncovered, if you will, or undiscovered. Valuables in the city? Oh, probably, and a lot of it, which is the pull to all of these hoodlums and whatnot that
Right. Okay.
hang under the
I
banner of
just
the
kind
Queen
of
of Thieves.
wondered, like, what was the status of like? I know that you said the crystals are really valuable, but like
Yes,
other wealth in the city is not just
it
all gone. There's
no,
still
it's
like,
there, and if it isn't in the city, there sure as shit is a lot of people bringing it in, which is another reason why the hoodlums are so
right.
active in the city, because every adventure has some gold on them. So there is a lot of wealth in the city still to be found. But you gotta watch out for yourself for that. Yeah, but it's still there. It's just yeah, and the state of the houses is another thing I wanted to comment on. As you
Yeah.
said, like, most of the houses would be devastated. Yes, to a degree, but one thing
Or
again,
they're
which
just
you'd have
they
to
haven't been cared for in 15 years. So like roofs
yeah,
aren't being replaced. Like if doors were broken down, no one's building them back up again. Like
that is
that kind
that
of
is
thing.
definitely true. Like a lot of areas will just look like neglected for 15 years. Not everything has been burning, like a lot of things have, but other than burning and neglect and whatnot, another thing that has happened in the city, which you can already see when you get to the outskirts of the city, here and there, things have just changed, if you will. Don't underestimate the power of this meteor in that this is basically just an eldritch horror that crashed down on the city, which it burns and whatnot, but it also changes things. There is talk of there's talk of houses that have been turned into glass, literal glass, because of the meteor. Houses that are floating in place, like the tower, the inscrutable tower is basically doing the
Mm.
same thing. It's floating in
So
place.
that's not the only thing that's doing that.
No, the whole city, like especially when you get closer to like the mid of the city, there is some weird shit going on there,
Okay.
which again might also house some valuables.
Mm.
It's just like about like reports about that. The closer you get to the inner city, the less reports you're getting because there's not a lot of people that go there right now. In terms of like picking clean, it's the outer reaches of the city that could be considered mostly picked clean because it's the safest place to go. Like the real outskirts of Drakkenheim, those are mostly picked clean. But the sooner you get a little closer than that, you're going to find something. Maybe some delirium fragments. Maybe someone left a pouch of gold underneath the staircase. Like you're going to find something. And you being a rogue are, of
Look,
course, like exceptionally interested in that.
look for
Mm.
staircase of gold. Got it.
Look
I only
under
have
every
the most
doormat. Check.
I only have the most pure of intentions, of course.
Somehow I doubt that very much.
And as far as the worth of delirium crystal, delirium comes in very various shapes and sizes. I'll elaborate more on that in the story, but it fetches a really good price because one, it looks very pretty, and there's just a market for that. There's literally people that want to wear it as jewelry, believe it or not.
That's ridiculous. Like
If you're a
something
lord
that
and you already have
fell
everything to
in
your name, you want to have a
empire
big fuck off crystal around your neck that
that
screams,
fell
"I've been
to
to a dangerous place." So
that fell to town, and that is
That's one way to say it.
yeah, okay.
right?
Okay.
So like
Okay.
so it fetches a good price because of that, but also the magical properties of this. It's been well understood that
Mm.
this does have some magical properties to it. It's not fully understood yet, but people know it has a power to it. Power costs money. Anything else you guys want to know?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Once we get into it, we'll know.
How far out of the city would you have to go for it to just be like a normal town? That's not like revolving around like being a place where people go before they go to Drakkenheim or
So two
how
miles
far
out of
out would it be
Drakkenheim
like
is where the 2 miles out of Drakkenheim is where the haze dissipates.
these
So that's
other
where you're
okay.
safe. So and that would be when you are reaching a place like Emberwood Village, which is the closest civilized place to Drakkenheim. There's still
But
not
it
going to
still
be any
kind of
farms and
revolves
whatnot there.
around Drakkenheim, though.
Yeah, because nothing grows over there. There is some bars
Right.
and whatnot, but they're all servicing adventurers heading to and from Drakkenheim. If you want to go beyond that, gosh, you're gonna have to go to the edges of Westermar or even into the other provinces to feel more of a normal life. The farms and fields and whatnot that make crops are almost all
Just
exclusively
yeah.
outside of Westermar. Westermar itself is just fucked, and it's not necessarily because of the mist itself, but look at the Dran River. It's polluted, and water moves a lot quicker than mist. So there's a large area around Drakkenheim that is feeling this, and that area is getting larger and larger as 15 years pass.
So the haze is spreading.
Oh yes, when the meteor hit in the first couple of days, the mist that came from it was basically like held up by the city's walls. These city walls are very big. They were holding it
Yeah,
back.
how high are they? Are they like 30,
They're big.
50, 100?
I'll tell you when you see them.
I guess we have to see them, yes.
Yeah, they're big. But like after the first year, it started to seep over and along the walls. And now 15 years later, it's 2 miles out. So yeah, it is spreading slowly, but it is.
And the haze is what makes the long rest impossible.
That is what most people presume, yes. They're not 100% sure because research is inconclusive, because it's very hard to research this with all the squabbling between the factions. And well, I mean, sending in a search party or like an investigative party, this is going to be the Amethyst Academy sending in a wizard. Sending in a wizard with a detachment of security is still a death sentence because they can only do research for a very short time. They're probably going to get murder faced by whatever they find within that mist because they got to be in it to research it. It makes it very hard to study this stuff. So countless lives has already been lost to that. They do know something. There is some mutative effect to it. They know delirium has maybe a tie-in with it, but that's really where it's at. Like they don't know much more than that.
Cool.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Yep.
That is a beautiful dice. Who threw that? I tell you.
Me.
I should have known it's green.
Wait, are you using real dice for this one?
No, I saw a die flying over the screen.
Oh.
It was a hidden one.
Oh.
Just to check if I can see it and no one else. Yes.
Yep. I had to check that mechanic. You know why.
Yep. For those of you that need a mechanic like that, by the way, you can do a hidden roll, which only shows it to you and me and no one else. If you want to keep it hidden. All right. I think that is it for the one shot today. I don't want to rush getting because we have like an hour and change left. I don't want to rush the initial story, so let's not start the adventure today. I know.
You dangled in front of us.
You
and we took too long.
Now, if we had like about
you want this?
If we had about 2 hours left, then I would have been like, that's very short. Let's just do it. But like, I'm glad that we took the time to like answer some questions and whatnot. And I don't want to rush it because that first initial, like, getting to know each other and whatnot in game, it just requires time. And the pressure of time is going to negate that. That's not going to be cool. So instead, and I still got a couple of things that I need to take into account from what I've heard today. Nothing really surprising though, but a couple of things that I want to change around. For your starter story, totally, because you're going to be the only one that isn't exactly on the caravan as you decided. I have 2 ideas, but I do remember that I didn't run them by you. Did I?
We ran by 1.
All right. So I want to reiterate if that's still what we're going with, and then it's cool.
I like that idea. It brings out what he is capable of as well.
Okay. Well, in that case, then it's fine. Then we're just going to do that. Then that is it for today. Any final questions, remarks, comments, ideas?
Well, what city do we start from now?
What now?
Yeah,
what city
is the caravan?
We meet on a caravan, so where exactly, from where to where? That just is.
You mentioned 2 cities. Yeah, you mentioned 2 cities, which were, remind me again?
I mean, initially, Christian and I thought we would have met on the way to Geldstadt.
Mhm.
So that's where we might have been coming from, but I thought you mentioned Altbrück in the east, so in the west
Yeah,
from
which is,
Drakkenheim.
and I think Altbrück is a little, that's further away than Geldstadt, isn't it? Let me have a look.
Seems about the same if you follow the road.
I mean, for me, it's either or. I could work with both because basically your initial story is you're following this caravan towards Drakkenheim, and on this road to Drakkenheim, you guys have some moment to talk with each other, and then we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of it. It doesn't really matter where you start as long as it's not Amberwood Village, Drakkenheim, or Ackerman Mill, because that's too close. So if you want to do Geldstadt, I am fine with that if everyone else is too.
Yep.
And we
I mean,
would
that matter
be.
because
Yeah, it doesn't really matter for me. I could just say I would have been in that town for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Wherever we're starting from. And then you said the caravan is gonna be like 2 weeks from Drakkenheim around
Yeah,
like 10
about 2 to
days
3
in.
weeks.
Yeah.
About 2 to 3 weeks,
2 to
depending on
3
how.
weeks. Goodness.
Yeah, 2 to
Okay.
3 weeks. Yeah, it's quite a travel, and the reason why is it's a rather large caravan that's being brought. The trader itself that is bringing you, who is called, because you're going to know his name, obviously, as you're traveling with him. His name is Aaron Marlowe, which I will put in chat. He is one of the traders in Drakkenheim, and he travels back and forth between, well, Geldstadt and Drakkenheim, or rather between Geldstadt and Emberwood Village, to get supplies. As I told, there's no water, no crops, nothing in Drakkenheim, so they need to go back and forth. And if you get it yourself, you can get a hefty profit. Because of that, he can pay well for security.
But he needs security on the way there. So even the way there is dangerous.
Of course, because if you have a single trader with a caravan and you just kick him off the caravan and bring it to Emberwood Village, you're loaded.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, this land is like about a year or 3 ago just come out of a bloody civil war, so they're still licking their wounds. People do anything for coin.
Okay. So you would say the majority of the people are poor or even less?
Especially around the general area of Drakkenheim, like a couple of weeks out, that whole area, people over there have moved on to other places. So they've moved into other provinces. If they haven't, they're poor and most probably turned to villainy. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Or they joined a faction or whatever. Like, that's obviously also a solution. If you join the Silver Order or the Burning Fire or something like that, like, they'll take care of you. So that is also one of the reasons why the factions have bolstered numbers, because it's a way to survive. Join one of those factions and live. Even joining the Hooded Lanterns, you're going to be in the city guarding a wall against the horrors of the inside. But at least you'll have food. It's terrible, but that's the way it is.
Food's good.
Yeah.
All right. I am really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this story. This is going to be a lot of fun. The story in and of itself, like, I've been looking forward to play Drakkenheim so much. But you guys' characters make for a very interesting story. So I'm curious to see how it develops. Do you mind? One more thing I want to point out, where the Dragon of Icespire Peak that we played before this is a starter campaign. The Dragon of Icespire Peak is very much a very railroady campaign, as they call it, which means that the story itself takes you by the hand, which, as you notice, the notice board every single time you pass by it, oh, there's a notice. It's so like, you should probably be doing that. Drakkenheim, kind of like Curse of Strahd, is a lot more free. And I would say Drakkenheim even more so than Curse of Strahd, if I can compare the two. Drakkenheim is really open. You'll get the hints and pieces here and there. People will ask you to do favors. But there is no such thing as a safer area in Drakkenheim. Save for the fact that the places where the haze is especially thick, you can sort of guess that is also dangerous to go to, and what lurks within it is probably also a factor more dangerous. I'll leave that obviously up to your discretion. But beyond that, there is no reason why you guys couldn't run into a mountain troll or 5 in the first session. Hopefully not, but there is an option that it
Okay.
happens. So Drakkenheim is up to the DM's discretion, relatively unforgiving at times. That doesn't mean that you will insta die. You know my style of DMing.
How
I won't kill
likely
you, but
is our some character
it's dangerous.
death happening
It's
here?
dangerous. Like one of the things that makes Drakkenheim very
we
different, for
don't
example,
have
is
we don't have any clerics, or I think rangers get a little bit of healing spells, maybe, but
I also got some,
trying to
but
think
not a lot.
you also have a couple. Okay.
As I said,
I don't
we
have
will-
any magic. I'm not a magical.
so the campaign that we stream has a fighter, a paladin, and a paladin that is not focused on healing, mind you. So a fighter, a paladin, and an
Not
artificer.
even with not even the pool.
He's
of
got his lay on
healing.
hands, and that's
Okay.
really it. Like, the other healing spells he isn't going to use.
Lay on
'cause
hands is not
he's-
much.
No. So you would be like, sometimes running is a very good tactic. Sometimes assessing the situation is smart before heading headfirst in.
You thought I was
Danger
joking about
just-
run fast? No, we're gonna run fast. It's gonna be a run fast campaign.
Like, yeah, like, and danger just
run.
lurks. Danger just lurks around every corner. This is one of those reasons why I said we'll be looking at the city map for an awful long time in this campaign. Whenever we plot out the route that you guys are going to take, because if you're approaching, I don't want to hear from you literally like, we'll take this street and that. Like, we're not playing Google Maps, but I do want to give you like a general idea of like, when you want to approach an area, how are you going to do that? Are you going through the roofs? Are you going through the streets? Are you going through the sewers? Are you gonna that makes a difference on how dangerous your approach is going to be.
I actually do have a question in regards to that.
Yes.
Considering that Atoli has literally been in the center of the city and everywhere in the past, well, not in the past 15 years, obviously, but he's still been dabbling in and out. How much of the whole thing, like area knowledge and stuff like that, would he possess in that regard, considering he was, well, where he was?
So quite a bit in terms of main locations. You will know of all the main locations of Drakkenheim. You will know Castle Draken and where it is. You will know the Inscrutable Tower, the Cathedral, the Creator's location, and whatnot. You'll know all of that. It is just coming from Emberwood Village, getting into the city. You could say, okay, we're just going to go through Champion's Way, which is the main road directly into the heart of the city. That is the easiest way to go. Unfortunately, it's also the most dangerous way to go because it's an open road, which is rather broad. Because there was a lot of trade traffic coming through. There was like 2 or 3 carts that needed to be able to pass one another. You're going to be dead in the water if you walk down the main street. The second you go into the side streets, I mean, have you ever been into the side streets of a major city? Unless you live there, it's going to get a little hazy. So you'll have the advantage of knowing where to go more or less, but the traveling to and from will require a creative approach.
Yeah,
and that is
of
really where
course.
it comes down to. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to know like how much of the like initial dangers and stuff like that, considering like his upbringing in the city and like locations and
You will know the main locations, and obviously you can imagine that certain locations, it's just common sense that like the market square, which is an open square, would probably not be a place that you want to just stand in the middle of and be like, "Hi guys," that's not smart.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys.
But also, if someone mentions, if someone mentions the, if someone mentions Slaughterstone Square, you will know what that is.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of, that was going to be my follow-up. Like, what about like terminology that, you know, people that is here often, he would have an inkling of knowledge of, like, I know where that is as well.
Yeah, there's 20 main locations in this city that are going to be intertwined in the city. I think except for 1 or 2, you will know of all of them and roughly know where they are.
Okay, cool.
Just getting to them is going to be the problem.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with that. It's just the like all the more like the stuff that would be hidden. Not that he's going to be capable of getting there anyway, but just the knowledge of what or where.
Yeah, for example, like you will know that there are 5 gates into the city. I think you will know that, as a matter of fact, you'll learn pretty quickly as well that the gate of Shepherd's Way is still guarded by the Hooded Lantern. So that is like a possibly safe entrance. But you won't know what the other gates are. Maybe they're gone. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're guarded by something else. There's only one way to find out, really.
But yeah, I mean, he hasn't been in the city in 15 years since the crash, so
Yeah, so things will have changed to a degree.
yeah.
And this is where the story will differ because, as I said, we're not going to do Google Maps like which street are you going to take, but depending on you guys' role play and the way that you say that you're gonna approach this, there's going to be roles here and there that you do and that I do, and random encounters will happen. And this random encounter can be you run into a pack of rats. How cute! It could also be look, it's 5 chimeras. Chimeras are basically Manticore, but then like the Battle Fortress version of that.
Yeah.
So
it's a combination of a scorpion, lion, griffin, and a serpent, I think.
And I believe a goat or a lamb or something for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah,
There's
it's a lion head, a serpent head, and a goat head, and then a
Yeah.
scorpion tail with wings.
Yeah.
Something like
And
that. Yeah.
they're big and they're like, it's not a dragon, but damn, you should be as scared of it as a dragon.
Don't worry.
And you can run into
I'll
that
be,
in session 1 if you're unlucky.
I'll befriend it.
So
Oh wait, I'm not. Oh.
I don't believe you're Kendall anymore.
Damn it.
No,
don't worry. We'll do the good old tactic of throwing the turtle in way above or
Yeah. But ultimately, like, there is no, and this is more like a DM style thing rather than anything. I'm not the type of DM that says, okay, how are you going to do this? And the second you say one wrong word, it's like, okay, you turn the corner and you're dead. Like, I don't do that because we're here to play a game. I will give you, unless I really want to surprise you, which does happen here and there, of course, I will give you sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle hints and things and whatnot that what you're doing might not be smart, especially when you're just starting out. I'll be a little bit more lenient. If you still press the matter, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, we definitely went from easy mode to
yeah,
like the way it should
this
be.
might
Yeah.
even be expert mode. This might be expert mode.
Well,
This is
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm looking for a challenge, not looking for okay. Well, you've got to remake 3 characters now.
No. I don't go that route. Like the amount of players that die, like most of them, honestly, with due respect, most of the players that die in my campaigns deserve it, or are really like it's the effect of a really, really unfortunate mishap and like set of circumstances. It's mostly their own. Like it's not that I'm super lenient or whatever. It's just it's common sense with a little bit of friendliness. Like I'm not a murder hobo. But it's definitely not impossible to die in Drakkenheim. Like not by any means.
There are still ways to come back alive, though, right?
The resurrection and whatnot, yes.
Yeah.
not with this party.
No,
Not
but
many clerics.
There might be others who can. There's an
Let me put
entire
it this
order
way.
of paladins.
yeah, there's an entire order of paladins camped just outside the city, about 2 miles out. Guess why? Who might
God
have
bless
the
those
power to do that.
paladins.
I'm just saying, like
But
in case of a like, it's going to be pricey, of course, but
And you might ingratiate yourself to their cause. I mean, don't forget the political choice that you're making there. If you're basically saying, "Hey, can you help us?" Sure, quid pro quo. You do that, like we'll help you, and then you got to go fetch this for us.
well, shit.
So everything has a price like that. But yeah, there is. It's not impossible. One more thing that actually works in your favor in this regard. I never thought I'd actually have to voice it like that. When things die in Drakkenheim, one of 2 things can happen. Either you die a horrible mutative death, which transforms whatever was there into something else, or you just die and your corpse just hits the ground, and as you would like also outside of Drakkenheim, and then you're either eaten by whoever just seems to roam there and just likes a good corpse for dinner, or you just stay there. As in the way that you died, nothing rots away in Drakkenheim. The rotting process of bodies is completely stopped. There is
So it's like what's
there is
that
even
spell
a
that makes you not rot? I feel like there's a
oh, you mean the what you call it, the gentle repose?
Gentle repose.
Yeah, it's basically like a perpetual gentle repose on everything that's
Okay.
dead. There's even along one of the roads into Drakkenheim, there is a horse that died at meteor impact that's still there. And as the story goes, kicking the horse before you go into the city brings good luck.
Okay.
This is a little thing that's actually
Ready
in
to
the
kick
book.
a horse.
So that's another thing to consider. So in that regard, it actually works in your favor. Like, you know, so if you die, at least your body is preserved.
We'll just leave him there.
Just bring it to a tent on the outskirts. Jesus.
Speak about beating a dead horse.
Yes.
We're gonna be beating that horse. Just...
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, like, honestly,
I'm imagining now getting directions from a guard or like anyone. It's like, oh, and don't forget to kick the horse. Just, what?
Oh, that's the thing.
The fuck?
Yeah, you'll hear it.
You're gonna be looking at him like,
you know that old Jim. He didn't kick the horse, and he never came back. We never saw him again.
He said he didn't have time for horseplay.
oh god. Starting to milk a dead horse here.
I'm just curious. Who's planning on playing with real dice? Are people doing real dice this game? Or
No, I just made a dice in like a 3D dice.
Wait,
I
how
think
do you
I'm
do
going.
If
I
you
think
want to
I'm
do
gonna-
that, like
I'm gonna probably roll digitally because of
Alright.
spells and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
you guys
I
have
just
more.
made
You
this
do
one.
have more spells. How do you make those? I want to make one.
all right, so let's if you guys want to do that, and we still have some time. If you look at the if you're still in Foundry, if you look at the upper right part of your screen, there's going to be a couple of cogs that says Game Settings. And over there, you should have
Mhm.
a button that says Configure Settings. You'll get like a small list of things that you can actually have access to. One of them is the Dice So Nice option. And under that, you can click the button that says 3D dice settings, and you can change your dice to your heart's
I
content.
never knew this.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. Wait, is it gonna?
Yeah, I like my own as well.
It doesn't really. Whoa.
They do be nice.
Oh
Mm.
goodness, there we go. Okay. It
There's
took
like a
little
lot
bit
of
to
options.
load, but whoa. You can download new themes.
I had a friend in school who actually had an actual D100. That was
Oh, like the large ball?
Yeah, the like it was the size of like a tennis ball or something.
Yeah, they so people prefer them over like the double D10s, if you will. But it's just if you roll them, like it's really hard to see like what did he exactly land on. So I just prefer
it's
like
cool.
the double ones. It's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, my most recent addition to my dice, which I have like I built a little display on my wall where I'm showing off some of my dice.
2 5s and 2 13s. What the hell?
But my latest addition is, let me quickly grab those.
Oh no. He's gone dice mad.
It's a whole set, but just to show a couple of them, they're basically like small bullets.
What are you turning American on me?
Well, if I ever play like a Western campaign or whatever, this is definitely what I'm going to roll. They're all sideways rolled, and like the bigger they get, like obviously like the D20 is like a really fat bullet, but
like it's about being American. I'm just here.
Uh-oh.
I'm just like dropping bullets out of the sky here.
Casual American Sunday.
Yeah, casual American Sunday.
These are so cool. Okay. Yes, this will be fun. This will be fun. I may be being introduced to the world of digital dice is gonna be bad for my finances.
Wait, how is it
These
gonna
are
be?
so cool. I want something that's easier to see though.
Oh, okay. Small update to my dice. I missed something before.
They're purple.
oh, snakeskin.
Oh,
That's cool.
it's snakeskin.
There it is.
Whoa. That's so cool.
I give my d20s also like a little effect whenever I rolled a d1 or like a 1 or a 20.
Clouds thing.
Let's see if I can roll a 20. Ah, there
Yep.
we go.
You got 2. Oh, snazzy! You can do that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Those red ones. Oh, those were yours in the Barlin? It's pretty.
Yeah, I know. See, I feel kind of lame now that you got special effects and stuff, but
Well, you know, you almost never see mine because I almost always roll off screen.
Paper.
And I believe if I roll a 1, it makes like a little...
Can you even read the skulls one? That's ridiculous.
It's very difficult. But I mean, it still shows it in chat, right? So...
Yeah.
Come on, give me a 1.
Metal dice? That's kind of cool.
Give me a 1.
Well,
Well, I need to try and roll a 20.
wait,
now.
it'll make a sound for a 1?
I made it so it makes like a glass
there.
impact. Oh, I saw it. Pretty.
Oh. Oh, so it does a special thing when it's... Guys, I can't see the screen anymore. You guys
Sorry.
keep rolling.
We're getting real into this.
People!
I'm just not rolling 1s. I'm giving up. Like, I'm going to get so many 1s next session.
Oh,
Oh,
I
there we
can
go.
change the font. Oh, this is the best day. Okay. Oh, that's kind of fun.
I like that. That's pretty.
I like this one.
No. God damn it. Now I'm trying to roll a 1.
Oh, just for the heck of it, your new fighting music, because I think you guys still remember the fighting music that we used to use, right? Which is this one.
Dude, I'm rolling a 20 every goddamn time.
I see.
all you gotta do is roll a bunch of them.
So you guys still know that fighting music, which we're obviously still going to use here. But I now also have something like this. Oh, I love that.
I can't.
I'm keeping that if that's okay.
Like the sad trombone on the wall. Yes.
The womp womps.
So the
you can define a special effect for every number rolled.
You can, but please don't.
Really? I'm going to.
Can we ban her?
No, you can't ban me. You can't ban me.
Yeah, one of the fighting musics that we're gonna get in Drakkenheim, which is new, is this one.
Ah.
That's the tone so much better than the one I used.
All right.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Reminds me a bit of Nier Automata. Somehow.
Honestly, yeah, it does, right? And another one, which is if the enemy is even more dangerous / bigger, then I think this one would be appropriate.
Okay. Final adjustment to my dice. Now I'm satisfied.
Let's hope we don't hear that one in session 1.
No, that's...
We're all dead.
Oh, I got 2 more. I forgot. I got this one.
Let me see.
This was like a slow build-up. I do love that. I don't know why, but this one always reminds me of God of War, which, like, it's really not in God of War, but it just reminds me of it.
This reminds me of something else.
Change.
Yeah, I'm just gonna set. I'm setting just a critical fail and critical success. That's
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
Okay. So
Did I see it right? You could import your own as well?
Yeah, I believe you can.
You roll a nat 20 and your 3,000 word diatribe starts playing.
Oh no, you know what the worst effect for a D20 is? Hang on, let me trust me. I was playing around with this as well, and I saw it, and I was like, I want to, but I'm not going to because it's terrible. Let me set it.
Or you roll a critical failure and Rick Astley's, Rick roll starts playing.
I believe it was this one on the D20. I hope I can roll a D20 quickly.
You can make the throwing force stronger.
Oh, there we go.
Is that Thomas the Tank Engine? God damn it.
I saw that. I was like, no.
I might do a sound bit and import my own for my
You,
D20s.
you know what the worst part about this is? This is default. Like, it's not even like an imported module or whatever. It's just default with the dice. Like, why?
I have to double check.
Someone made the right decision.
No, they
On
didn't.
20, it's gonna have sad confetti.
Oh, sad confetti is still like sad confetti isn't that terrible, honestly. That is this one. Like, and it's just a sound, mind you, but it sounds like this. Oh, not that one.
Whoa.
The sad confetti is this one.
No.
Oh, it's so sad. Wait, let me look at all those dice. They look like
Trying to hit a 20.
kind of hard
Oh,
to see
Jesus.
though. I might go back to my appearance and change the color of the.
There it is.
Ooh, that was double. Yay, but no.
No, it
Ah.
works. What I wanted it to do works. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to import my custom file. Yep. I got it. I know what I'm gonna do.
Whoa. Those are pretty though. Wow.
Yeah,
You
those
can
are
roll a
gorgeous.
lot of dice. Good to know.
Those are yours, Nespip?
Yeah,
Wow. Pretty.
it's just preset, so.
Oh, it
I need
doesn't.
to make mine a little bit.
There's a limit on how many are shown.
Oh.
Yes.
Gotta be done with it.
Which I lowered a little bit because I know Elodie's issues with a lot of stuff on
Yeah,
screen.
all of a sudden her computer melts because we've put 5,000 dice in there at one time.
Please don't. Whoa, this is kind of cool actually. Look at this one. Ooh. It's like bronze, but when I turned it to like a peach color, it went all weird. I would never actually play with metal dice, but
Oh, I almost exclusively play with metal. I love the weight of them.
really?
Yeah, for two reasons. Like, one, I just like throwing them because it just feels right. But there's another reason, and this is more a DM reason than anything. Because you guys know that I roll physical, right? So whenever I'm rolling, let me let you hear why. Let's just say you guys are walking down the street, and I need you to like look around and whatnot, and like you roll, and you didn't roll too great, and we're just talking, and you didn't hear me roll just there.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I mean, maybe very subtly because I'm talking, but now you guys are walking around and yada yada, and like looking around, and all of a sudden you turn a corner. You hear that dice? You hear like a thud.
Are you like using like a muffle mat or something?
So I'm using like a normal dice tray.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a set of bronze dice. These are my defaults. Like they're actually starting to wear a little bit already. Those are my absolute favorites. Followed closely by the ones that are made of bone, actual bone.
Ooh. What kind? A bone of what?
I believe this was made of bovine, like cow bone.
Okay.
So nothing. Yeah, like, so nothing too special, but still, they're made of bone.
That's pretty metal.
Uh, and then there's my orc dice, which I just also just love. They're spiky dice.
Oh, I thought they were made from orc.
No, they're spiky, and all of them are. Like they're metal and they're spiky, and they hurt in your hand. Like if you hold this in your hand, like that kind of hurts.
Okay,
yeah.
so if I roll just a d20, go in my chat.
Yes.
No, I'm just trying to
Underneath,
see.
underneath chat, there's like a whole
Would
bar
roll,
of dice.
and I want to roll that. What? Where'd my other stuff
Did you
go?
save it?
I did. Fuck. Here, you thingy.
There.
You gotta be kidding me.
I can't do the clip right now, but I'm gonna have that ready for next week.
Sure.
The hell? Where did it go? That makes me so mad. Well, I'll make it again. Sad day.
Luckily, we have
I think
more
it
than
was
enough
the
time right now.
bronze 3. Yeah.
I want this
I'm just chilling for now. And we're making it. What if I made it stone? What is that? No, I don't like that as much. What about glass?
I want that.
That looks kind of dumb. Ah!
Now all the dices that we've rolled, all the 20s, we'll never see.
Nope, they're all used up. You know how that works.
Everybody get your 20s out now, because we're not going to see them ever again.
Considering how little ones we rolled, that's kind of haunting.
Wasn't gonna say it.
Oh. My computer is yelling at me, like, please stop doing all this.
It's 3D. No.
It's like, stop being 3D. It literally won't show me the preview. Like it's being that weird with it. All right. Let's see. I really wanted to go here, I think.
It's gonna
I
be
had like a
interesting to see
salmony
if
color.
Foundry calculates all of the artificer stuff right, with all of the attunements and infusions and stuff.
Oh yeah, I think it will, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on that because
Yeah.
there's a very good chance that it won't. If that doesn't work, by the way, I might already have a solution for that because, well, lo and behold, my other campaign has an artificer as well, and we've been talking about that on that side. There is a plugin which is called Beyond 20, which is for both Roll20 and Foundry, which you can install into your Chrome browser, and you can basically use the D&D Beyond character sheet for everything, and everything you do over there reciprocates immediately into Foundry.
Okay.
Which means your dice rolls, but also any effects and whatnot are like just pumped into Foundry. As long as you have both of the tabs open in Chrome, that's the only prerequisite for that, and you have the plugin installed. We've tried it; works wonders. So if it doesn't work natively in Foundry, we can always go for that.
Okay.
If you are okay with installing a plugin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open this in its own thing. Maybe that'll Make my computer more happy. Marble? Maybe I should do marble. No.
I like how it's like, oh, it's session 0. Let's a third of the time is just spent playing with the dice
Let's
customizer.
get our
Which is
dice
any
ready.
session 0 ever. Like if you do it in real life, you start playing like it's like stacking like poker chips. It's the same thing. Like you throw dice.
Yeah.
Bird. I could be a tiger.
I guess since we're sitting here, I'm gonna
let's see.
send you something.
Oh, sure.
Ice.
Oh, and about that. Nespip, I imagine at some point you're going to go for a homunculus.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably going to do Battlesmith. So I'm gonna have
Okay.
the Steel Defender. So I'm not sure if I'm even gonna use the homunculus. So I'm still considering.
I mean, it makes sense if you want to go Battlesmith. If you do end up going for a homunculus, let me know, so I'll make a token for it as well.
Okay.
That already took like a really fun turn with our other campaign, because it was like, yeah, it's going to be, and it gave like a really cool description. And that went out the window with 2 sessions. It's going to be a frog because the other character keeps on talking about frogs. So for some reason, it's going to be a frog.
I saw that.
Well, the texture that I was using is just not loading on my computer, which is hilarious.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like this cool bronze thing, and it was loading for a little bit there, and now whenever I select it, it like won't do it. It'll do everything else but that one. What about start? I'm just messing with other ones now. Yeah, it doesn't want to do the stained glass one either. I wish I was playing a character that justified me using the glitter setting, but I'm not.
There is such a thing as a glamorous rogue. If you go,
yeah, but that's not my player. That's not my.
If you go to swashbuckler route, you can totally pull it off. Like, you know, the.
I'm not. Yeah, I looked at that. I've done that for a different rogue, and I really like the swashbuckler one. But I think I know what Elodie's gonna be, and it's not that one. Even though that one's super cool. Swashbuckler is so cool, and it's really like useful. But
it really depends on how you want to play your rogue. Like, you basically give up your stealth as a swashbuckler. You can still stealth. You're still a rogue. But
yeah,
you're more the type of person that in any bar you walk up to people like, you want to go? You want to go? Huh? Do you want to go? Huh? Huh? Like, that's a swashbuckler.
That's not annoying.
I don't know if anyone else is also still playing around with their dice, but in case you're not, I think this for now, like, I'll leave the server open so you can just like toy around. But for now, do we have anything else that we have to discuss? Because if not, I think this will conclude our session 0 for today.
Oh yeah, you guys are up kind of late, aren't you?
Well, I mean, if we don't have anything else, then like we can just like end it. I'll just keep the server open so you can play to your heart's content with the dice, but then everyone else can just like start doing their thing.
Yeah, I need to record this and then get that imported.
I get that. I'll leave the server open for a little while longer, like for like another half hour to an hour. So feel free.
Okay, that'd be great.
But thanks. I really enjoyed this. I think we got a wonderful story going, and next week we'll see it in practice if that's the case or not for a little bit.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Did you did stream that, right? You were streaming that?
Yeah.
Are you still streaming?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're still live.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hello, world.
I was going to ask, and then I was like, that would be stupid to ask.
But... No, it's been going. Like, I've been setting it up so nothing shows up, and the right audio is being recorded, and
it's all of our tokens like light up whenever we talk instead of just our faces.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks really cool.
That's cool. Cool. Awesome.
So that's kind of my session 0 as well, getting this set up properly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending the session 0, and I will see you guys next week for our actual start of the Dungeons of Drakkenheim.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And
Alrighty.
Bye,
yeah, all of these
friends.
recordings are going to be put into a like a series kind of folder thing as well. So
Cool.
Okay.
Feel
That'd
free
be
to share
cool.
it. Yep.
so you can
Because
watch
my
them.
wife, I told her, it's like, oh, you actually be able to see what we're doing.
Yep.
So just hearing secondhand.
Yeah,
I
she
mean,
can
my
watch.
wife's want to tune into it when she's at work, just as like a background thing to listen to and stuff. So
Cool.
yep.
So
All right.
fun.
Alrighty. I will see you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Chat. The same goes for you guys. I'm going to turn it off here. I'm going to play around with the sound that I want to upload. And yeah, session 0 concluded. We are ready to take on the Dungeons of Drakkenheim next Sunday at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for those of you that tuned in this time. I appreciate the feedback, you guys helping me set it up. And yeah, I will see you